The female dragon had been raised in the high mountain pens of the Drake breeders, a place where every creature was measured by the worth of its eggs and the heat of its fire. She had once been proud, her scales shimmering like molten gold under the sun, her wings strong enough to darken the valleys below. But when the breeders discovered she was infertile, that no clutch of eggs would ever come from her, they marked her as useless. The day came when the traders bound her with cold iron chains and dragged her into the market. She tried to keep her head high, but the murmurs of crowds stung her ears. Worthless beast, no fire in her womb, waste to feed. Some buyers only want her hide, others her meat. She thought her life would end on a butcher's block, until a tall, broad-shouldered human stepped forward. He wore simple clothes stained with earth, and gray in his hands, calloused from years of work. He spoke, not with greed, but with calm certainty. How much for her? The trader scoffed. Why would a farmer want a barren dragon? She can't give you young ones. She can't even guard a herd. But the man only replied, I will take her. Name is Caleb. The farmer introduced himself as Thomas, and soon she learned he lived far from the city, in a wide open valley, surrounded by green hills. When they reached his farm, she saw two small figures run from the house, two human children, twins, with bright, curious eyes. They circled her. Without fear, the girl reached out to touch her scales, while the boy stared in awe. Papa, she's beautiful, the boy whispered. Thomas only smiled and told him her name. From that day, Kayla learned a life she never imagined. Thomas gave her a warm barn lined with hay instead of cold stone pens. He fed her not scraps, but fresh meat and grains. He never tied her down, never whipped her wings. He let her fly when she wished and rest when she tired. The twins would visit every morning, bringing little treats, apples, bread, or even shiny stones. They thought she might like. Kayla had never felt such kindness before. Still, the shadow of her past lingered. She would hear the voices in her head telling her she was worthless, a waste. Yet Thomas never looked at her with disappointment, only quiet respect. One evening, as the sun sank behind the hills, Thomas sat beside her in the barn, his children asleep in the house. He told her his wife had died years ago, leaving him alone to raise the twins. He said a farm could be lonely, but with her there it felt alive. Again, Kayla felt something stir inside her, not the ability to lay eggs, but something deeper, a need to protect this place. And these people weeks turned into months, and she grew stronger, her wings catching the wind with new power. One night, a pack of raiders came creeping over the hills, armed with blades and fire. Seeing the torches from her perch, Kayla roared a sound, shaking the valley. She swept down upon them, wings, wide eyes blazing. They thought her a tame beast, but she showed them the fury of a dragon. She knocked weapons from hands and sent them fleeing in terror. When it was over, Thomas came to her, his hands on her muzzle, his eyes filled with gratitude. You are family now, Kayla. From that night on, she knew her worth was not in eggs or in the judgment of breeders, but in the love and safety she gave to those who had given her a home. And for the twins, she became more than a guardian. She was a second mother, watching them grow, teaching them the language of the wind and the strength of courage. They would ride her back across the hills, laughing, their joy echoing in the skies above. She'd been sold as something broken, but in the heart of a human farmer and his children, she had found something greater than purpose. She had found a place where she belonged, and she would never let it go. YouTube Desk, #Human and Dragon, #Found Family, #Epic Tales, #yes.